Hello. How's everybody doing tonight? Okay. So glad to be able to see everybody. I'm glad you all made it through our interesting stormy weather. Okay, so good. Hello, Zoom land. Okay. Just a reminder, actually, let's see, do we have any interns here today? I don't much about them. Oh, good. Hello. Welcome. Everybody say hello. Glad you're here. And any guests tonight? All right, well, thank you all for being here. I do appreciate it. It's a little bit damp outside, but that's sort of spring in southern Indiana, which is damp. Makes things grow, sort of. All right, so, just remind you, turn off your cell phones, okay? Make sure that they're silent. And then, people in Zoom land will be kept on mute. Zoom land, remember to, put your questions in the chat box. That would be appreciated. And, do you like questions during your presentation or wait to the end? All right. So, you have permission to ask questions, whatever. Okay, so, without further ado, I think that's where it's going. I want to, introduce, Jeff Culver to introduce our speaker.
Thank you. So it's my great pleasure this evening to introduce Kristen Forrest, who is here with us tonight. She grew up in the Louisville area, and she attended the University of Louisville and got a job as a newspaper reporter for the Courier Journal. Some of you may have heard of that paper.
In its heyday.
It's heyday, back in the old days. All right, so years ago. She joined the Peace Corps in 1993 and worked in Europe for 23 years before returning to the United States to work for the Portland Japanese Garden. And if you have not seen that garden, please make plans to do so because it's a stunning garden to be part of and to experience. She returned to Louisville and has been working with Origin Park since 2022. Working on development, programming, community outreach, and other projects. Kristen is a nationally recognized public garden professional and part of the team working to bring Origin Park to life along the shores of the Ohio in Clarksville. So please welcome Kristen. We're really in for a treat this evening. We're glad to hear you.
Thank you for having me. It's a real honor to be here, and it's great to see such a turnout. I'm glad we did not attempt this last week. That would have been a really bad idea. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, I have an outside voice anyway, so it doesn't. Okay, so let me get a show of hands. How many of you have actually been to Origin Park? Maybe done a tour? Okay, so some of you. All right, if you have not, I encourage you to come out and see it for yourself because you'll hear this presentation, but it really doesn't give you the full sense of the scope of this project, the incredible ambition behind it, the audacity of it, which is the thing we love the most about it. And if you are interested in getting a great tour, one of our board members, whose name is Jim Kinney, and he's a local historian, so he knows everything about the park and both its natural and its human history. He will be giving a tour. We call them Wander Origin tours. We used to call them Scamper with Scott when we had Scott Martin running things, and now we call them Wander Origin. But you have to register in advance. It's free, although we encourage you to donate $1 million or so to the park. If you get on originpark.org/events, you can find it and sign up for it. We still have some spaces left, and we'll be offering more throughout the warmer months. Basically, you'll come to the park, meet up with Jim, and then just follow Jim around the property and learn all kinds of wonderful stories. He'll even tell you crazy things like about how the land in New Albany across Silver Creek used to be the dueling ground because dueling was illegal in Kentucky. I mean, you'll just learn all kinds of stuff. There's really no stopping him when he gets started. If you find yourself curious about the park after I finish talking, before you come out for a tour, you might want to go to our website. We have quite a lot of information on the website. Please sign up for our newsletter that comes out periodically. Follow our Facebook page. I believe we're also on Instagram. But the originpark.org has a lot of great information on it, including ecological studies, so floral and faunal surveys, socioeconomic studies, a blog that I started writing about a year ago that has a lot of just stories about the people and the history around the park. Lots of plans. You can see our master plan. Please, if you like, take one of these with you. So you have a detailed view of the park. It has our full master plan on one side and phase one on the other. And you can also find all of these on the website. So I do encourage you to go and explore around afterwards because there's quite a lot of information about the park there. So what I'm going to try to do today is just give you an overview of what this park is about, what we're trying to do, what it looks like now, and where we're hoping to go. So let's go. Come on, worked before. I think maybe it did. Do I need to?
No, I have this working.
I can always just use the laptop.
Turn it off and on.
Yeah, I'm not gonna start until somebody makes it.
Oh, no.
I can just use the.
Wait, it might be my fault. Hold on.
Okay, great. So what about?
Okay, I just didn't have the mouse in there in the right spot.
Oh, okay, so this will work. Okay. Okay, so Origin Park is the project, River Heritage Conservancy is the organization. We are a 501c3 that was founded in 2016. Origin Park is our first project, will probably be our only project for quite some time just because of the ambition involved. But we intentionally created sort of two different brands, the organization and then the park itself, which of course leaves us an opportunity to have more projects down the road. And we're a self-supporting nonprofit dedicated to creating and sustaining exceptional public landscapes in the Falls of the Ohio region. So that's our mission statement. And we're about not just the land, but the people as well. So preserving the local ecology, but also the heritage and the culture, because our land has some incredible stories. So we really try to do kind of a history of our site. So just a few pictures is what we're hoping to give people. We're not going to be a sports park. Clarksville already has quite a lot of those. What we are trying to do is fill a very visible, very yawning gap. There's no large-scale nature park anywhere near where we are. So the Falls of the Ohio is a world-class attraction. It's not at the same scale. Most of the parks in Clarksville tend towards more recreation, baseball diamonds, soccer fields, that sort of thing. So we want to give people a really deep nature experience that they can't have anywhere nearby. So seems like kind of a rhetorical question, but why create a park? What are all the reasons that we do it? So we want to restore the ecology. Our land is primarily brownfield right now. We have some woods that has had serious disturbance, and then we have a lot of brownfield. We do, however, in our woods have a surprisingly high level of biodiversity, and we're hoping to enhance that and support it with ecological restoration. We want to give people a place where they can do active recreation, so hiking, bird watching, that sort of thing. But we also want to provide an accessible place for people who just want to or are only capable of just enjoying it in a leisurely sort of way. We want to be a force for improving health. I do a lot of research on the demographics of the area surrounding our park. And there are some really good government databases that you can use, like there's the federal government's climate and economic justice screening tool. You put in attractive land, like you identify a zip code or a census tract or some other geographic identifier, and it'll tell you all the socioeconomic and health data. Ours is not great. So we've got a lot of work to do in terms of giving people something that allows them to improve their health. Yes, ma'am.
Is that maybe website or where did you check that out?
Climate and economic justice screening tool. It's the federal government's, and it's open source. Anybody can get in and use it. It'll give you a drop-down menu and you put in the land that you're wondering about. It's great for grant writing because it allows you to find all the data that a lot of funders want to know. So I find it extremely useful. Anyway, that's a bit of a rabbit hole, but a useful one. I'm all about the rabbit holes. So this is our from vision to reality. we have our vision and we're trying to slowly move towards reality. I absolutely love this photo because this takes place in our woods. It's called Buttonbush Woods, which I'll talk about in more detail. It's about 102 acres, depending on which of the slightly inaccurate tract maps you're looking at. This is some members of our landscape architecture team. We are very proud to work with Olin, O-L-I-N. They're based in Philadelphia, but they've done projects all over the world. They're an internationally recognized firm, and they did Canary Wharf in London, Los Angeles. They've done countless really important projects, and a lot of them really major brownfield restorations. But the thing that I love about them is they also will come and walk the land and really study it. You know, sometimes when you do a park or building and you bring in the star from somewhere else, they just kind of apply their own little template and they don't really pay much attention to the local circumstances. These people are extremely sensitive and extremely thoughtful, and they really do their best to know everything about the land itself before doing a design intervention. This is part of our beaver infrastructure. So if you know about beavers, you know that, as I always say, they are nature's ace engineers. So they can shape the landscape like no other animal. They can, they're actually known as a keystone species because they can have such a serious impact on so many other creatures in terms of how they create these natural wetlands. They're the only animal besides us that knows how to build a dam. So we have a 16-acre beaver pond in one corner of our forest, which is a pretty remarkable thing to see. And that creates habitat for a lot of birds, a lot of other creatures. It's a really important ecosystem. And the best thing of all is they don't have to deal with the DNR, the Corps of Engineers. They don't have to get permits. They don't have to write grants. So we just kind our beavers do this thing. I park them, but we like our beavers. So like any nonprofit, we've got a board. Our board leadership is really what drives our organization, represented a lot of a really diverse cross-section of the community, a lot of different nonprofits and corporations. These are all very influential, very caring, very active people who play a significant role in our organization. This is a working board, so we interact with members of the board pretty much every day. And they are really what makes our organization what it is. We also are big believers in partnerships. We cannot be doing this alone. So in addition to some government organizations like IDEM and the DNR, we work with on a regular basis on grants and permitting and other things. What? Oh, I thought somebody asked a question. We also collaborate with the Falls of the Ohio Foundation on programming, with Friends of the Ohio Greenway, and of course, some of our major funders are Ogle and Blue Sky and the Shine Foundation. Clarksville is our public-private partnership partner, and it's kind of typical symbiotic relationship between a municipal organization and a nonprofit organization, which is we can do things that they can't, like we're eligible for certain funding that sources that they're not able to, and they as a municipal organization can do things that we can't. Like, for example, our woods is on land that was acquired by the DNR. The DNR cannot legally transfer land to a nonprofit entity. It has to go to another government entity. So Clarksville, through a memorandum of understanding, works with us to let us use land that they own. They're also working with us on creating the entrance road that will go into the park, because the only way to access the park currently is through a very small neighborhood street, and we know that that will be a disturbance for some of these historic neighborhoods around the park. Just to get a sense of, number one, how we fit into the bigger picture, and number two, what gap we're filling. I think this is a really nice, sort of concentric circle example that shows you the park system that defines our city. And all of these are really key places that it's hard to imagine the city without them. So it's impossible to imagine Louisville without its flagship Olmsted parks, the three parks that he and his sons built here between the 1870s and up to 1930. That have defined our neighborhoods over the years. Who could imagine the Highlands without Cherokee Park? It just wouldn't be the same, right? And we go to the outer ring, and we've got Jefferson Memorial Forest, of course, one of the biggest urban forests in the United States at 6,000 acres. We've got the Parklands, which is, of course, just like what we're doing, a combining of land that's owned by kind of a disparate group of people into a whole. It's hard to imagine the east part of our county without the Parklands, but that's a fairly recent addition. And then if we look at Waterfront Park, which was realized well into my lifetime, that's also relatively new space, but it's hard to imagine our waterfront looking the way it did 30 years ago now. And then here we are. So we're filling in a really critical gap. And this is all very connected too, because from our park, you can get on the Greenway. The Greenway takes you to the Big Four Bridge. The Big Four Bridge takes you downtown. So we are really strongly connected to all of the green infrastructure around us. If you go the other direction, you can go to New Albany, which of course will take you through New Albany. And eventually, when the Monon Trail is finished, you can go all the way to Indianapolis without encountering a car. So we consider ourselves very much an integral part of an existing excellent network of green spaces. Just to give you an overview of where we're sited and really some of the uniqueness of the location of this park, there's really some remarkable, incredibly unique features. So for example, these islands out here are national wildlife refuges that are the only such property that's controlled by the Army Corps of Engineers. That's about 1,500 acres. We're located under the Mississippi Flyway, which is the I-65 for birds, if you know about that. So we have hundreds of species flying overhead in the migration months, which is part of why our area has such a diverse array of bird species. The Falls of the Ohio is incredibly unique. There are only 2 Devonian exposed fossil beds in the world, ours and one in South Africa. There's nothing else like it on the planet. So we really appreciate our incredible location with all these other completely unique features. The Ohio River is 1,000 miles long, 980 and change actually. And this is the only 2 miles that, because of the locks and dam, is not open to commercial traffic. So it has kind of a tranquility to it that you don't get in the other 978 miles of the river. But you do also have over the falls, one of the only sets of class 4 rapids in an urban area in the United States, which is pretty phenomenal. So we consider this to be a site that has a lot of special stuff going for it. Now, if you've heard of our park and you think, well, where in the world is it? The reason that you're thinking that is because it doesn't look like this right now. Most of our land is brownfield, so it's quarries, junkyards, storage spaces, all kinds of old industrial areas that we're going to gradually, through a remediation process, turn into meadows and restored forests and clean waterways. So this is, the Greenway is right along here. We end in our western border is with Silver Creek in New Albany. So we're entirely contained in Clarksville. And again, this is 430 acres, which is pretty much exactly comparable to Cherokee Park scale. I made that on me again. Oh no.
Does that include the pond that was by the old shanty?
Is that,
That it's on the New Albany side?
no, we're not on the New Albany side. We're only in Clarksville. So we're only partner with Clarksville. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is fun because will it work on? It doesn't always work on every screen. So this, see if that works. Oh, no, doesn't want to work. It doesn't work on every screen, but this shows an animated simulation of flooding. So the whole concept behind this park is that we are in the floodplain for the most part. Our event center sits on a plateau that is above the 100-year level, but most of this is in the floodplain, and our park is designed to be usable while flooded. And I'll show you some design details later that capture why that is. But most of this at some point in time will be underwater, and currently a lot of this is underwater right now because of all the recent rain that we've had and how high the river is. So right now we are focusing on phase 1. So our full build out of the park is 430 acres. Phase 1 is about 141. And this is in sort of the lower right-hand side of the park. The main elements of phase 1 are our event center, which is right here, which holds 350 people for weddings, conferences, whatever other special events. And there's nothing nearby that has that number. And I'll show you the renderings of it later. It's really very beautiful. And then this is Buttonbush Woods, which we just got a Fish and Wildlife Service grant to do some of the restoration work on it. This woods is relatively young. If you go and visit it, you'll see most of the trees are not that mature. That's because most of this was farmland up until the 1950s and 1960s. And it also served as a borrow pit for I-65. So there are people who can remember in their lifetimes when there were tobacco and corn and other farms on this property. Not huge, obviously, at 100 acres. That's not that big of a farm, but there were several people who used to farm this land. Now, the farmers had to prevent against flooding, so they built levees and roads. And so if you walk through the woods, you can see these old contours from these old levees, and you can see sort of the human history of the forest. And it's not all that old. So when we create our trails in this forest, we're going to do them along the contours of these old levees, because of course they do follow sort of logical lines. They were built around farm properties. They're also elevated, which allows us to build elevated trails that allows people to use them even when the water is high. And then thirdly, this also reminds people that what we're doing is not restoring a forest to its pristine state, but rather we are capturing the human history and making that part of the story, while we're also restoring biodiversity and getting rid of invasives, which we have an absolute nightmare of a problem with. This here is Mill Creek. So Silver Creek is over this direction. This is Silver Creek, which is larger. Mill Creek is a lot smaller. It was used for irrigation by the farmers, so it's very badly incised. A lot of the vegetation is missing on the sides of it. So part of what we're doing with this grant is doing a restoration of it to try to renaturalize it a little bit. This, by the way, is the spot where the Lewis and Clark expedition took off on the Port of Discovery. Just a map of our properties. Again, this is going back to the full build out of the park, which is 430 acres. We basically follow the contour of the flood wall. So we are entirely inside the flood wall. And the orange designates property that we have already acquired or that we control via our memorandum of understanding with the town of Clarksville. The blue is what are the holdouts we still have to buy from. And most of these are owned by companies. Some are private families who have lived there for a very long time. But this park is really kind of a patchwork quilt of properties that were acquired from a wide number of owners over time, and a wide number of uses, which is part of what makes this project so incredibly challenging. You know, it's not like we're just fencing in 400 acres of what's already wild nature and calling it a day. We're really changing something back into what it's supposed to be. So we're working on phase one now. We've completed our design development. We've completed our construction document development. And now we're working on getting our bids out to contractors so that we can have a groundbreaking on phase one on the event center and the restoration of the woods later this year. And that work will go until sometime in 2026. But this park takes a long time to build, and there's an expression in placemaking that I really like, which is called "start with the petunias." So the Project for Public Spaces, which is based in New York, they have a technique for placemaking, which is getting people excited about a place, getting them involved in it, having a participatory process, and then, you know, coming up with a design in kind of a bottom-up way. But one of the things they suggest doing, they call starting with the petunias, is when you're in the process of making long, difficult, expensive, complex changes, it's a great signal to send to people to have little interventions that tell them that something's going on, like planting a bunch of petunias. So our petunias are that we got our canoe and kayak launch going, and we got the signage up for that. So that opened exactly a year ago this week. The colors on the signage are very intentional. The dark blue symbolizes the water, which it sometimes is on a good day, not right now. The yellow is the same color yellow that you see on the top of the flood wall. So it's definitely meant to reference both the natural and the human history of the area. We also have a trail opened in our woods with bilingual signage so that people can go ahead and start getting used to hiking in the woods and start to think of it as a park. So our whole idea is to make people think of this already as a place as we're developing it, because, you know, when you're just constantly telling people, yeah, we're building, but they aren't seeing forward motion, it tends to be bad. Be sort of bad optics for the public. So we are trying to give our public things now to show them that much bigger things are around the corner. Another thing that we're doing quite a lot of is programming. We only had a couple of programs a year when I started. I put together a slate of about 15 for this year. So we had in February, we had Winter Tree ID. We had an Indigenous Heritage event just last month. We have a wildflower hike coming up, but I'm not sure if it's going to happen because of the flooding. We've got some fun things going on in the summer with snake ID. We've got somebody coming in to teach people how to do beautiful things with invasive plants, because we do have a terrible problem with all kinds of invasives. We've got a guy coming to teach you how to forage in the fall and lots of other things. So you can sign up for these at originpark.org/events. About 80% of our programs are completely free because we believe in giving the public something to show that that we are a public park for everyone. We have a few programs that are paying simply because the presenter costs a lot of money, or there's a lot of materials involved, or a lot of staff time involved in organizing it. But for the most part, we try to be a place that has programs that are accessible for everyone. So just to talk a little bit more about Buttonbush Woods, this is a really special place. So if you come to our park and you go look for the trail signs, this is, it's right on the greenway. So at 3 points on the greenway, there are entry signs, that typical dark blue and yellow color. And we've got about a mile of trails cut. Now, if it tells you, yes.
Can you tell me any roads that are right here?
Yeah, Emery Crossing, is that familiar? Emery Crossing, Crowan Street, Bailey. And, yeah, those are all roads that you can take to access it. The easiest way to get there is along the greenway, because you go along and you see it right there. But if you're coming by car, then you would come down, Emery Crossing. Yeah.
And what do you do with your car if you wanna?
There's parking by there's a boat ramp right by the park homestead. It's owned by the DNR. There's a bunch of parking there. That's where a lot of people. You can also park down here, because even though this is way out of our phase one, this is technically part of our phase one development. This is our boat ramp or kayak launch. And there's about 30, 40 parking spaces there. So that's really never full. Yes.
How did you get the name Buttonbush?
Oh, well, it's, are you familiar with the Buttonbush plant?
Yeah.
So that's what we plant. That's one of the plants on the list to put in there. And it has had buttonbush, but we want to get a lot more in there. We need to get rid of the invasives and put in a lot more natives. We've also got 2 sedge meadows in there, which is a fairly unusual habitat to have around here. But I'm not sure who named it Buttonbush Woods, but it's somehow just stuck. So these are just some nice photos of what it looks like now. You can see it's very heavily incised, as I said, and got a lot of invasives. We don't have much of an understory besides the invasives, so we need to get a lot more shrubs and smaller scale trees in there. And you can see where some of the roads are, and then there's a lot of beaver activity going on. It's really a very beautiful place, and it's really good for birding. So we had a birding tour there last year with Reverend Lee Payne, who works at Cave Hill. So he came and did a birding tour, and we walked around for 2 hours and we clocked about 55 species. This was in May of last year. We're working on trails for our Buttonbush Woods and we want to have about half a mile of fully ADA accessible trail. This, of course, is very expensive because it has to be built of certain materials, a certain width. But we want this trail to be accessible to everybody from the greenway. So we want everyone to be able to use it and be able to get to the event center parking lot from the greenway. It's just a rendering of what we're hoping it looks like when it's finished. So we're going to have a lot of boardwalks. We have quite a lot of wild turkeys. So on a lucky day, you get to see a whole bunch of wild turkeys running around. To just talk a little bit about our event center, this is going to be about 12,000 square feet and holds 350 people. We want it to be open to the community as well, but part of the concept of this is this will be one of our revenue streams that allows us as a park that is not part of Clarksville's Parks and Rec system. We are an independent organization and will be. We hope to be eventually fully financially self-sustaining because we don't take tax dollars. And the event center is going to be one of our 2 main revenue streams that will help us keep all of our programs free and open to the public and maintain the park and keep it free and open to the public.
Where is that in relation to the falls?
In relation to the falls, so if you're at the falls, and you continue, say you're on the greenway, you continue about 2 miles, I would say. Yeah, it's about a 10-minute bike ride from there. So this is what it's going to look like. The ecological design on it is, to my thinking, very sensitive. The designer is Joseph and Joseph, which has had a history in this area for more than 100 years. So we're proud to be partnering with a design firm that has a real history in this area and really understands the materials and history of the land here. It's meant to kind of, even though it's a large building, it's about 12,000 square feet. it's meant to kind of fade into the background. So we're intentionally using materials and colors on the wood that are of the area. So we don't want it to be kind of arrogant and in everybody's face. We want it to be very, subtle and be sort of subordinate to the landscape. If you want to get a perspective on where we are, so down there is the K&I Bridge. So if you're looking out at the river facing west, that's the K&I Bridge, and we're on a plateau that's just above the Greenway. And pretty much across from the locks and dams. And one really important aspect of this is, as you get closer to the event center, the landscaping becomes much more intentional and much more detailed. And we are using all natives there and are planning on having sort of native display gardens to show people what they can do at home. So I don't know how many of you all follow Doug Ptolemy. I'm a big fan of his and the idea that you can make your backyard into a national park. So we're hoping to encourage, by example, people to model lawns and do something like this. And of course, we'll be using them as kind of an educational facility too. So this will be fully open to the public, outward facing restrooms, but we'll also be able to rent it out for weddings and receptions and other events. This is the view of the event center looking out to what is called the Upper Way. The Upper Way is going to be an elevated road that will allow people to have an alternative to the Greenway when the Greenway is underwater. So this will be slightly higher and it'll allow people to access the event center. So this is the Upper Way, and part of the Upper Way is going to be elevated. So this is part of the fun, and this is also part of why this project is pretty ambitious and expensive, is we want to put in infrastructure like this that allows people to enjoy the park even when it's flooded. And it's going to have what's kind of a very trendy material now, Corten steel and wood, and it'll be a place where people can sit and look out at the river and enjoy the view, or ride their bikes, or their skateboards, or their scooters, or just walk. And kind of look at the trees from up high and get if you come to this plateau, it is absolutely so beautiful. A lot of people don't know about this view because you only see from the Greenway, but if you go up on the plateau where this event center is going to be built, it is really one of the most spectacular views in the entire area. I mean, you just feel like you're in a national park because you're looking out to the river and these islands and looking at the kind of rushing water coming from the falls, and it's just absolutely lovely. So we're going to give people a treetop experience where they can actually go through the tree canopy, do bird watching, look down at the water if it's flooded. So really experience the woods from a completely different perspective. So this is all part of our phase 1 development. If you get on our website and you go under inside the park, there's a drop-down menu called Inside the Park, and we have a really interesting study that was done about the area and about how the park is going to transform the area and bring kind of an unprecedented level of prosperity and new life to this particular part of Clarksville, southern Indiana, and really the whole region, because we consider this to be a regional project just because of the uniqueness, the ambition, and the scope of it. And so this is going to not just add a new green space, it's going to bring a lot of new jobs. It's going to be a huge boon for all the businesses in Clarksville, Jeffersonville, and New Albany that provide hospitality to people who are visiting and want to come see the park. So we think it's really going to bring an unprecedented level of prosperity and happiness to the entire metropolitan area and southern Indiana. And that's all I have to say. If you all have questions, go ahead. I'm sure you do.
Will there be camping then?
What?
Will there be camping then?
Not usually, but I could see us doing events where we let people camp. We've talked about having like music festivals or things like that where you have overnight camping. So camping would be something, I know that people are really big fans of getting to do something that you're not normally allowed to do. So camping would be something that we'd say, okay, just this one night, we're gonna let people camp here. But yeah, we don't have campgrounds set up.
Okay. Where the event center is planned, is that a meadow now, or what is on it?
It's a plateau now. You can reach it. The address is on Kenwood Drive. It's at the corner of Kenwood and Francis in that older part of Clarksville. And it's got a really interesting history. And if you if you get on our website and you go to this menu button called the Discovery Hub, that's my blog that I've been keeping for a year, that's kind of stories about the park. And the story about this bluff that overlooks this spectacular stretch of the river is that it was a farm for a very long time. And there is an elderly woman there, she's 94, named Miss June. And Miss June has lived there her entire life. She lives in a house that her husband built about 50, 60 years ago. She was one of 10 children raised on that plateau. Her grandparents farmed it. Her father had an apple orchard. The last apple tree is still standing there. You can see a row of silver maples that he planted as a windbreak. And she can tell you all about, who used to farm what and what house was where, because all these old houses have been knocked down. There used to be one of the oldest schools in Indiana, on the property as well, which is where the kids went to school. She was one of 10 kids who grew up there, and she talks about how they went swimming in the river. She has a picture of herself up on the dam on the other side of the river, which I don't think you can do anymore, but apparently at one point you could. So it's got a really neat history. She's still so spry that she goes out and hikes in the woods. She used to fish in the creek until recently. And she, when the apple tree is bearing fruit, which it still does, even though it's a zillion years old, she'll go out with a stick and beat the apple tree until all the apples fall off, and then all the deer run up and eat the apples. So we're hoping to keep some of her stories for when the park, is fully opened. I think they did a really nice job of that at Charlestown State Park with the Rose Island Trail, where they actually fought to go out and talk to people and record them talking about what it was like there in the 30s. Because, once those people are gone, they're gone forever. So that's the story of that plateau. It's really good. We've done our phase 1 and 2 archaeologicals. Haven't found anything significant. A few tool tips, a few stones that suggested there were fire pits there, but we think this is mostly migratory site for the indigenous tribes. So yeah, it's got quite a lot of story. Yeah.
What about getting from Krogan to the George Clark camp? I mean, that bridge out, which has been out for how many years?
Getting from where?
From Krogan Lane.
Oh, yeah.
Over to George Clark, over to the dam here.
Yeah, so you have to go, you go via Emery Crossing, Bailey, Francis.
Yeah. But, is there any thought on repairing that?
No, I mean, that's not up to us, but that road has been washed out forever because of the hydroelectric infrastructure, and Google will still send you to that dang road. So every time we have a program, I have to send people a notice saying, unless you're coming by the Greenway on your bike or hiking, which is, the easiest way to find it. If you're driving, here's the directions. And people just put blind faith in navigation and they won't listen to you when no, please follow the directions. And every single time it sends somebody down to that road and then it's all barricaded off. So as far as I know, there's absolutely no intention to reopen that road.
I don't know what I figured.
Yeah. Yes.
Explain the controversy about the dam and New Albany.
No, I'm not allowed to talk about that. Somebody always asks and I'm not supposed to talk. In the interest of good diplomacy, we're not to discuss it. Our communications director is anyone authorized to talk about that. But we hope it gets resolved amicably. That's all.
So where the kayak canoe input on Silver Creek, is that so New Albany did that, or is that part of the ordinance?
So there's several. On the other side of the creek, there's one that New Albany did, and then we have two. So we have one at Blackiston Mill, and that's not currently open because of the Lowhead Dam. And then the one that is right close to the mouth of the Ohio has been open for exactly a year. It opened like April 10th last year, something like that. It is currently closed because of the flood, but it is open to the public and there's parking there.
Is that the one that you had shown in your?
Yes.
Okay. And if it's any example of what you guys are doing, it's a beautiful.
Thank you.
location.
Thank you. Yeah, it is a beautiful location. And we've got some other like sort of small scale projects coming up that we're working on. We just got a grant from Duke Energy to create a little outdoor learning space, kind of in the same vein as the one that they just paid for at the Falls of the Ohio. So we're trying to put in little bits of infrastructure to get people excited about the park as we work on the large scale, long-term changes. Yeah.
Well, you have to move a lot of dirt with the junkyard and the,
I am.
because that was there for a long time.
So I'm a brownfields nerd. I love this. I absolutely love this stuff. So we have an $800,000 grant from the EPA for brownfield assessment and remediation. And we're going to be using it mostly on what's called our we call it Mount Mars, Field Mars landfill. which we are acquiring later this year. We have an agreement to purchase it, and we're hoping to fast track that so we can start to use the grant on it, because with these EPA grants, you can use funding for assessment on property you own, but you can't do the actual physical work until you own it. And that's gonna be, an elevated meadow, basically. One of our tentative plans is to move some of the fill off of it and use it as a foundation for our entry road, which would save us a lot of money and also reduce the amount that needs to be hauled offsite. That is a supposedly, it's being assessed right now, but that's a clean landfill. So that was meant for just dirt and concrete and that sort of thing, and not chemicals. But a lot of our land is classified as varying kinds of brownfield. And, there's some statistic that something like 80 million Americans live within a mile of these industrial sites, and they're terrible hazards. I mean, the tires and the cars and the junk and the, things getting burned, I mean, the stuff that's in the soil is unbelievable. So that's, when I try to explain to people why this is so expensive and time consuming, if you knew what was in the soil.
Yeah, because that over there caught on fire it's caught on fire several times.
So that's really funny you mentioned that, because our intern, who's from Hanover College, just discovered that and was showing us some old news footage of it. And there was something like 100,000 tires that burned there at one point. Yeah, pretty unbelievable. So, that's all the stuff that we're trying to clean up and fix that are moving people apart. When people ask, why is this taking so long? That's why. Yeah, we do have one landfill that's already capped, that's called CABX, that we do own. And then we cleaned up Marshall's junkyard last year. We got about 200 cars off of that. Yeah,
Do you anticipate volunteer opportunities?
absolutely. Okay, yeah.
What kinds, like,
So I would see us following the model a lot of other organizations similar to us and having different cores of volunteers. So maybe horticultural volunteers, docents, cleanup volunteers. We really need to amp up our game with cleanup, because we get so much flood debris that put it in our wood every flood, especially as if you look along Greenway, it's kind of a depression that goes down into our woods, which just becomes a big old bathtub for collecting garbage every time there's a flood. So I would see us having volunteers for all these different things. First, we need to staff up and get a volunteer coordinator, because that's a whole job. But we are collecting names. So if you send an email to sort of a generic email address on our site, somebody will put your name in the list of people that wants to be volunteers once we have that up and running.
Right.
Volunteers and memberships are two things that we have on our plate right now that we haven't yet developed.
What is membership for an individual?
We don't have it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's still in the process of being rolled out, because that's also one person's job. So we just got a new CEO who is absolutely fantastic. He comes to us from Omaha. He was the head of the zoo there, which is consistently ranked as one of the best zoos in the country. So I was teasing when he went from one zoo to another. But he has just taken the reins like a month and a half ago, and I think he's gonna really fast track a lot of the things that we're doing and help us get staffed up and really on the road. Yeah.
You said there were two sources of income or revenue, and
Yeah.
one was the center.
Yeah, I didn't get to that at all. So one is the event center, which will be rentals. And then the other one that'll be more significant is, you've probably heard of our Whitewater Adventure Center. So last year, we were allocated money by the state of Indiana to create, and I don't really feature that in this presentation because it's a different phase, but it's going to be a 30-acre Whitewater Adventure Center with zip lines, with an artificially generated channel that has all kinds of modular elements that you can move around to basically imitate practically any river in the world. There'll be rock climbing walls, all sorts of things. It is free to get in. You just have to pay to use the facilities, so people can go in and enjoy it, but you just have to pay to use the facilities, and that's the revenue generator. The model for this are 3 different facilities, one in Birmingham, Alabama, one in Charlotte, North Carolina, and a third one in, I believe, either Tulsa or Oklahoma City. So if you look those up, you can see how they work. They're pretty incredible. It's all human-made technology, so it's not using natural water forces at all. They have these pumps that can fill or empty an Olympic-sized swimming pool in 12 seconds. So that's true, pretty phenomenal, yeah. And the area that we're putting that on is all brownfield too. So the state of Indiana gave us $37.5 million for that weight. The thing cost about $80 million. So We always try to control the messaging on that because the last thing you want is for people to think you're drowning in money when you are not. So they gave us what is a huge show of faith, really unprecedented in the state legislature's history of $37.5 million, but we still have the other half to raise. For the one in Alabama, the cost overrun was $25 million. So these things can get expensive. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a projection when that's going to be up and running, available?
So yeah, that changed recently up until Dennis, our new CEO, took the reins. That was only going to be many years in the future. But because starting it allows us to start to access some of those funds, which can allow us to fast track other things to get our part going. We are actually going to start on that parallel with the phase one elements. Yeah. It's all still going to take several years, but we're hoping in the next few years to get going on that. And it's going to be awesome. Yeah.
When you showed the slide with the other parks in Louisville.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, it's definitely. We just try to position it as something that's filling in a blank space in a logical system. Yeah, of space, of park spaces and linear infrastructure for recreation. Anybody else? Cool. Well, thank you all. You've been a fabulous audience. Please go to our website.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you want to do a pollinator day sign for your yard, or if you know somewhere, I have 25 of them. So you come sign them out because I want them back after pollinator day. They're not cheap. So bring them back. You can sign them out. I can take funds and you can pay for your shirt for pollinator day. I have that.
So fascinating.
One more question. Peter has
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, hang on, guys. Another break.
Are you waiting to get released?
Yeah. Just something that needs to be announced. Jane Archer, is signing up people for Crescent Hill Garden Tour. We need to know how many people are going. You pay at the site. We're not collecting money for this. It's $20 a person. And it's on June the 1st. That's a Saturday. And they have 3 different times that they're doing, tours. Starts at 10, then there's one at 11 and one at 12. Yeah, there's 3. Three is, for the house, and then there's 10 gardens altogether. June's gonna be a really busy month. Our picnic is going to be Saturday, June the 8th, at Perrin Park. And it'll be from about 3:30 to 6:30. There'll be more coming out next month. And we'll probably have a sign-up sheet then too, because we need to know how many people are gonna be there. And then in June, on Saturday, June the 15th, we're going to Waterfront Botanical Gardens at 10 a.m. And the cost for that will depend on how many sign up. They have a range, for instance, from 15 to 30 people, it costs our organization X number of dollars and so on. So I don't think that it will cost us any more than about $5 a piece. Once we get enough people signed up, the more people we sign up, the less cost. So, please, if you're interested, sign up for that. And then our last event, which is gonna be in August, which is the winery tour, we'll have, something going on in June for that, and that's free, other than drinking. We're not buying the booze. That costs $5 if you want a sample, and if you want to buy a bottle of wine, I have no idea what they charge for their wine. But, that's the advanced training events that are going to happen this summer.
Who's leading the tour at the waterfront gardens?
Excuse me?
Who's leading the tour at the waterfront gardens?
We don't know.
All right, so we got a 10-minute break. See, let's get the business meeting going. Before we get too much rain out there. That's sprinkling.
Okay.
All right, so let's, first thing we have are the minutes. Veronica.
The minutes report, do you have any, questions about it or move to accept them? You got changes that on the second?
A second.
Lots of seconds.
Third.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, so minutes are approved. Thank you very much, Veronica. All right, Kathy, treasurer's report.
How do we make this go away and?
Oh, sorry, I was working on that. Your IT can only do so much.
You got a jump drive, Kathy? Oh,
It's already inside.
got it. They're gonna be stairs. No. Where did you go? That's not it. You have to talk, it's not. Doesn't want to read it.
It's like oh, well, whatever. That's okay. Nobody cares about this anyways, right? We started the month off with $26,761.67.
Don't start feeling rich, guys.
Yeah, don't start feeling rich. Remember, 6,500 of that is money that was put in by Pollinator Day for Pollinator Day, and it will
Be
Seems
gone before
violent.
pollinator day.
exactly. We had receipts of about $380, which was Kroger Community Rewards and some youth garden registrations. And then we had total disbursements of about 2,275, which was again, a big chunk of that was Pollinator Day spending their money, and then a few other little projects. So things are kind of, they're normal for April kind of stuff, or March, excuse me. And our ending balance was $24,867.91. And if anybody really cares
Here,
about.
I got it now.
Oh, you did?
You put it in the
Okay.
TV. I didn't need it in the TV. I needed it over
Oh,
here.
you needed, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No problem. But this is the numbers, March. So if anybody really likes details about this sort of thing, just send me an email and I'll send you all the gory details.
Don't go anywhere, Kathy. I'll give you your jump drive back.
Okay.
We're gonna do an update on what's it? The Amazon account.
Oh, I can mention that. We now have an Amazon account for Sunnyside. It's tax exempt. And if project leaders have something they wish to purchase on Amazon, they need to send me
you know how you can send what the little picture on the Amazon and it gives you the link. Send that to me and make sure I understand how many and which of them they want. And I can purchase it for them and have it sent to their address. And then we can save some money on tax and, we thought that would be helpful to people. So, we haven't worked out the exact details of exactly how that all worked, but if you have something in mind that you wanted to buy on Amazon, have the project leader let me know.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. And then information will be filed on it. And remember, Fidelity is our middle name. Okay, we are not actually British because we cost a lot. Right. Now, Gina, you have updates.
Sure, why not? Okay, Pollinator Day is coming up, April 27th. I know all you want all an email about training. Training is not mandatory. It will be next Tuesday. I just don't know what time yet. Lisa and I need to compare notes to see when she can get there with some stuff. It is not mandatory. It is nice if you've not been to one of our trainings. At least comes to get an idea about it. I will be sending out emails about where you're assigned at and stuff for the day if you are volunteering. I just haven't got there yet. I kind of need to be in front of my computer. And I've been in the classroom all day today. The library doing the thing, and then I went to Green Valley, and I'm gonna be in the classroom tomorrow at Fairmont, because we only have 2 classes left for 3rd grade. So I will get you information, just not yet. Master Gardener training is technically next week. Their last class is this Thursday. They take their final next week. So make sure if you know any of them to send them emails and stuff, and they're a little stressed out. 2 are sitting over there. They're a little stressed out about the final. They're kind of wigging out on me. So they need some reassurance that they'll be okay. But I think, and I will get an email out about fair. I know you all have a thing the Saturday of fair, so we'll probably look at doing Friday for volunteering at Floyd County Fair in June. But working on that. I think that's it right now. Unless anybody has questions. No? Okay, I'm gonna go back to my corner and man the computer and everything else.
All right, definitely don't stress out about the test. I mean, I passed it, you guys did this. The problem there. Okay, now we got some project, committee leaders who would like to have a few minutes of your time. So Dave is gonna talk about all the different projects he has, at least a couple of them.
I'm scared.
First is the farmer's market. We do the Jeff market and the New Albany market. The Jeff is the first Saturday. New Albany is the second Saturday of the month of June, July, August, and September. We do the same thing at both markets. And we get in June, we're giving away chokeberry seedlings. And the kids are gonna plant seeds and ice cream cones so they can go take home and plant. July, we're gonna give away planting for butterfly kits. This kit contains a milkweed and 4 nectar plants for butterflies. And we are giving those away, but we do have a donation can sitting up on the table, and people are really very generous giving donations. The kids are gonna make butterfly feeders that day. In August, Barb Brewster is gonna be there to release monarch butterflies. And the kids are gonna spray leaves with paint on cardstock. And in September, We're gonna give, spider plants away. And we're gonna talk about how the houseplants are good for your health to have the plants in the house. And the kids are gonna paint rocks. Set up in New Albany is 7:30. Takedown is noon. Jeffersonville set up is at 8:30. And takedown at noon. I take care of the volunteers for Jeff. Mary Klein takes care of volunteers for New Albany. And I'll be sending out, emails for the volunteers. The other thing is Sacred Heart Garden. We started last week and we work on Thursday mornings. Usually 8 till about 11. And, we're there every Thursday. If there's anyone interested in helping there, just let me know. That's it.
Steve?
What did you say was the kids, for July? What was the kids' activity for July?
What the kids are doing,
Right.
they're making butterfly feeders.
Okay, great.
How many volunteers work with you in both of those projects?
We have a team. I have 2 people helping me at, Jeff. There's 4 master gardeners at New Albany. I can use about 4 other volunteers for Jeff. New Albany, Mary, how many more? You need 2 more volunteers for New
If
Albany.
any of your volunteers are here, could you ask them to stand so we can recognize them? Here's for the farmer's market, all the things that he does. Yeah, farmer's market,
The,
wow.
The interns that are interested in the, markets, I will contact them and, give them the dates and the times. So I need at least 4 for Jeff.
Questions? Thank you for one.
Thank you, David.
Kathy, would you like to talk about youth garden?
For reasons I don't pretend to understand, the sign up for this year's Youth Master Gardener program has been extremely slow. So I would ask all of you to kind of think, do I have a relative or a neighbor who might have a kid who's 8 to 12 and interested in gardening? We are the 4 Mondays in summer, starting June 3rd. We plant on Mother's Day weekend, and it's, we've got kind of a new and improved curriculum this year, so we're really excited about it, and we need to have some kids sign up, some more kids sign up. So, I have forms, if you'd like to get one tonight. Or if you think of somebody later, just email me and I can send you one. Where's that at? It's at the Georgetown Optimist Club in Georgetown, Indiana.
Exactly, for clarification, it's 7 or 8 Mondays, it's not just 4 Mondays in June, it's over 7 weeks, right?
It's 7 Mondays,
There you go.
starting, I didn't say that, sorry.
No.
It sounds like
It's
that's
7 Mondays, starting June the 3rd. So Thank you for clarifying that.
What's the time?
9 to noon.
How many volunteers do you have and how many do you need?
We're in. I think we're gonna have enough volunteers. We might, depending on how this picks up, we may need a few more for planting day, but we're in pretty good shape for volunteers because we have some interns.
Are any of them here that are interested?
How many kids we have so far?
9,
And when's planning day?
maybe 11, the day before Mother's Day. And some of the kids will be planning on Mother's Day because they have soccer tournaments and such things on Saturday. But we think it's important for the kids to plant the stuff themselves. We don't want grown-ups planting it for them.
So what day of the week is it?
The class during the summer is on Monday mornings,
Okay.
9 to noon,
And how much does it cost?
$35. Covers plants and seeds and the water bill and all the snacks they eat, so it's a good deal.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, Karen Alexander's next. She's got, an idea for fundraisers. Karen. Oh, there she is. Sorry.
I hate doing these things, I told her, usually when I talk to her, probably really bad like that, I could knee pad things in my armpits.
Well, you only have 3 minutes, so you can't.
We were talking about doing, Sunnyside Master Gardener fundraiser, shirts and polos or whatever.
Diane, give her the mic, please.
With your hand, slide it in the holder. And you stop with your hand.
Okay, so, as a fundraiser, I offered to help do the, if we do t-shirts and polos or whatever for Sunnyside Master Gardeners logo. So we can wear those when we go to events and things. I don't know if we've had any, when's the last time we did it? We didn't.
Long time.
Okay. Okay, well, I know that if we work at the, like the Jeff Farmers Market, I would prefer to wear something that has Sunnyside Master Gardeners on it instead of anything else, so. Is anybody interested in ordering t-shirts? T-shirts, polos. Polos.
Wow, these guys look smart.
Certain color?
Yellow. Is there a color? Green.
No, because you're Sunnyside and you're working at your health nonprofit, you can pick the color. So it depends on what you wanna go with, if you're gonna put your logo stuff in black thread, or if you want white thread or the cotton. Hopefully you all.
I think previously it was a darker green, if I remember correctly.
We've done green and blue.
Yellow,
Gray.
time ago.
I've got a gray one.
Really? That one I don't
T-shirt, a gray t-shirt.
Remember, you're playing with dirt, so I don't know that I see the light color.
Right.
So. Green? Green and gray? I mean, we don't have to stick with just one color. We can do more than one color. You want so if you do polos,
Green.
green.
And gold red, maybe?
Okay,
The logo would show up nicely.
okay. So anybody want anything else besides t-shirts and polos? Cups, backpacks, anything like that? No? Okay. So mostly polos, right? All right, so I'll check with the girl that will be doing that, and we'll probably do t-shirts then too.
So you might want to come back with a cost breakdown.
Yeah, which probably depends on how many people I order and, okay, can we send an email out to everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Or send me an email, what you want to send.
And then you'll send it to everybody and they can respond if they're interested.
Exactly.
Okay, good, I'm done.
Wait.
Great question.
You make it out of cotton.
In years past, we could buy gloves.
Oh.
Buy those special gloves and have the rubber tips. Is there any way we could get those again? I would buy a bunch of them.
I looked into that, they're really expensive and you have to buy bulk to get it halfway decent price. We looked into those last year. The price has gone up significantly from the last time we did them, I think we sold them for like $5 or $6 a pair. Now we're looking at 10. Yeah, it's just unreal.
They're so good.
Just the rubber tips or the claw?
No, the rubber tips. They
The
were
rubber-
cloth with rubber tips. Yeah, they lasted forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea, I can check. Do you want them to say Miss Sunnyside Master Gardener, or you're just?
No,
saying
they were
general?
No, just cloth.
Just as just general, okay. That might be somebody else's.
Yeah, you make the, polos in cotton, I mean, some light material, because polyester gets very hot.
I agree with that one.
If we wear at farmer's market, outdoors, any of our outdoor activities, people would not wear them because it would just be too hot. So just think about the material. And then, are you gonna have, is it all gonna be men's size or is it gonna be women's size?
I don't know, that's why I'm asking, I don't know what everyone wants to do.
Yeah, so, I mean, it makes a difference.
What do y'all wanna do?
It may be more expensive. So, just for the ounce.
We ordered both at one time. We ordered women's and they came in extremely small
Yeah.
and nobody liked them. And then we ordered unisex or men's. And then some people didn't like them because they were too big. So to get into this, nobody's really.
No one in here is gonna complain.
Yeah, cause I won't do it.
Everybody's likes them.
So Karen, one suggestion on doing is visors, getting visors.
Visors,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
That's a good idea.
Jefferson County Master Gardeners across the river, they've done like aprons where you've got all these pockets that you can put like
Yeah.
seeds and different
We did
kinds of
that.
implements and
We did
stuff
them
like
because I
that.
have one. I have one. Haven't we done it before? Long time. I still have one. I still have one. Yeah, we might have to replace.
Exactly, one would be.
Here, I got you. Somebody advertised, I guess we got a message from Gina that you could order those aprons with the pockets.
Yeah.
With Purdue,
Yeah, we got some,
something, I
yeah,
forget
we
what
got
else,
some.
something with Master Garden. So a lot of people may have ordered those, that may have been 2 years ago.
So the Master Gardener page has a shopping.
That's it for the pretty master garden stuff, so we're talking just Sunnyside, so I won't say pretty on it.
Right, exactly. But yeah, there's.
Are you looking at just clothing or anything?
I was basically looking at t-shirts and polos, but I can check into some other stuff and
What about
just.
kneeling pads?
Yeah.
Anything else? So I can give you some prices and shoot an email out.
Yep, exactly.
All right, anybody else? Sorry, I just got back from the camping, so I didn't.
All right, thank you very much for taking that on, I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, so, let's see, I just have a note here about pollinator day. I think it's more a matter of if you still want to sign up for volunteering, question is why not? It's a fun day, okay, and talk to Gina or Lisa about doing that, okay? All right, any questions, comments before we do my closing comments here? I have a list, okay. All right, so, I wanted to remind you about the opportunities that you have to be a big fish in a small pond, okay? Everybody here wants to be a big fish, right? You have the program committee, which is, I mean, if you like the speakers we've had and, you know, like the lineup we have and all that type of stuff, get involved and be part of the program committee, okay? Let Lena know and, get your name on committee list, okay, because it's, you know, it's one of those things that keeps us going, and believe it or not, I don't know, you do believe this, I know you do. This group is really very organized when it comes to having the entire year planned out, that, you know, from the very beginning, that's sometimes unusual for some of the master gardeners, so, you know, kudos to our programs committee, so join the, that organization, that committee. And also, think about getting more involved, by being a member of the executive committee. We're going to need, you know, a new treasurer, we get Veronica for another year, she chooses, vice president, president, all those are gonna be rotating off, it's a 2-year term, so think about, you know, joining. It's, you know, it's not that bad, okay? You know, you get in front of people and talk to them sometimes, if you wanna be president, it's not a bad thing to do. And, you know, and then, you know, otherwise, you can, you know, just play around with money like Kathy does. Depends how you like to do things. So, you know, think about this, okay? And be more involved in the program, in the group. All right, as always, do not forget to start recording your hours. If you haven't already done that, okay? It's very important to keep up on that because, do you do different reports during the year?
Yep, we use, your numbers to tell the county council and stuff, what impact we have.
Yeah.
And all the budget.
Yeah, so, you know, we want more money, so put more hours in, well, do more hours and record them. All right, oh, deep freeze. If anybody has a small freezer,
Oh, we took care of that.
We
It's from the
took-
office.
oh, we have one.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
The one in the office is there. Sorry, message didn't get relayed to you.
Oh, that's all right, then I'll just, you know, forget that, we don't need the freezer, okay. And if you wanna know what the freezer's for, think, you know, popsicles for pollinator day, and, actually, I think popsicles for the tomato festival. And if you wanna be involved in the tomato festival, let me know, we still need growers, we still need people to send in, recipes, just let me know if you'd like to be involved. We've got the, you know, little tomato plants that are just, you know, they're getting there. I mean, it's just April something or other. And also I got another month to grow before they're big enough to get out there in the real world and be tromped on by some deer. Okay. All right. So, looking forward to next month. We have Karen Bryan, who's gonna talk about succession planting, which is always sort of a, you know, one of those things that keeps your mind going. You know, you never get tired of gardening, you have to keep, you know, adding something new every couple of weeks, okay? All right, so that's for May. And, next up, just call for motion for adjournment, and then we'll do the door prizes. And before we get there, we had 45 minutes of training. And how long in the,
Business 30, so, 3/4 of an hour for training, half hour for business.
okay, so 0.75 and 0.50. Okay, all right, so do I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion.
All right, we have a motion up here. Okay, we got all sorts of seconds. Okay, give Veronica your name, tell her who you are. Tell Veronica your name.
I'm going
Okay, well, yeah, tell Veronica. And the second,
I didn't see you.
tell Veronica your name.
Anyway.
All right, so all those in favor of adjournment?